I'm just here to do some odds and ends, and if you're on and want to ask questions, feel free to interrupt me, and I'll try to do the best I can. Um, Today we're going to be talking a little bit about Disney's corporate damage control, which is fabulous. Uh, Last Jedi is not doing well in China, so apparently adding uh, Asian Shrek girl, because she looks like Shrek, um, isn't helping them. Uh, let's see what else. Apparently, according to comicbook.com, Ryan Johnson is now being forced to write Last Jedi 8.5 to explain the plot holes. And after reading that article, um, they're not answering any of the questions that the real fans want to know. Uh, when you purposely go out to destroy character arcs of Han Solo and Luke Skywalker and Leia, the fans that grew up with them want to know why. Want to know what really happened. Apparently, in Disney's mind, they don't feel like they should have to tell us. And now they wonder why Last Jedi is not doing as well as Rogue One. So we've got that going. Um, and I can't imagine the book that Ryan Johnson is going to write because if this is true and it's a rumor, I'll add, it is a rumor, because he did such a shitty job with the script. And honest to God, I don't care. You could turn Finn into Jesus Christ himself. No one would care about Finn. No one gives you know, two F's about Rose or Poe or Admiral Lavender Hair or any of them. All right? You screwed up, guys, and we're not going to notice? Okay, whatever. Um, okay, so, that's going on. And basically, a lot of trolls are showing up trying to defend The Last Jedi. My favorite from this last week is Pablo Hidalgo explaining that there's gravity in space. No, no, there isn't. Uh, and that was funny. And that just recently, he was trying to explain that, yes, The Last Jedi and The Force Awakens actually followed Lucas's treatments, what he wanted to do. Well, alrighty then. Okay, that's great. No, not true at all. Uh, I don't, if you honestly believe that, you're a moron. But, all right, now let's go to, oh, and this. They're walking back Ray Nobody. Screen Rant had an interview with our erstwhile Skywalker killer and idiot artiste Ryan Johnson about The Last Jedi, and he basically said Rey's parentage is now open, which means everybody went like I did and said she needs to be a Skywalker of some flavor. I prefer Han and Leia's daughter. It would make sense. Her conflict with Ren would be brother and sister and would reflect Luke and Leia actually and mirror that relationship, which is what Star Wars was actually always supposed to be. Okay, so we've got that going on. What else? Um, that's all I can really think about with what I mean. Just the walkbacks, the damage control has been hilarious. In fact, I think after this, a lot of shareholders are starting to revolt at Disney, which is good for me. I mean, I love it. I'll get my popcorn. I'm gonna sit down and watch. What else? Okay, let's talk about why uh, knowing what happened with Han and Leia and Luke matters. It matters because that's the basis of all these sequels, isn't it? What happened in the 30 years since Return of the Jedi? Let's talk about Han because he's my favorite character. I understand him a lot better than I do Luke. I haven't really done any Luke studying. Uh, Luke is really simple to figure out. Don't mind the packing stuff. I'm putting Christmas stuff away. Um, so let's talk about it. Han Solo in the EU was an orphan, a cast off, nobody wanted. He didn't trust anybody. He grew up on the edge of society. Uh, petty criminal working for Gary Strike, yada yada yada. If you know his background, then you know that. Then we've got him going to the academy, learning how to be a TIE fighter pilot, and then going and discovering Chewbacca, saving Chewie, and getting court-martialed with a black tick against his name so he can't get a legitimate job. Basically, he had no choice but to go into being a smuggler, or as the Corellians would call them, free traders. So we've got that going on. Now, again, he's never been a wanted guy, ignored by Evan. He's never been a guy people wanted around ever since he was a kid. He's been abused, neglected his whole life. So he doesn't have any use for people, doesn't trust them, just pay me, and you know, I'll get your stuff where it needs to go. That he's that guy. He's cocky and arrogant because he's a good pilot. Yada yada. We all know. So he runs into idealistic Luke and idealistic Princess Leia. Now we all know that he's also got a decency streak the size of, you can imagine, because of Chewie. And he goes to help Luke with the Death Star, and then stays for 3 years. Why does he stay? Part of it is because he cares about Leia, and part of it's because they need his help. And, is it because he's hiding from the bounty hunters? I never look at Han as being someone who's too afraid of that stuff. It's part and parcel to what he is and who he is. I think it mostly has to do with Leia. And when, after everything happens, the Empire Strikes Back, he gets sold off to Boba Fett and put in carbonite after being brutally tortured by Vader. And, he's rescued by Luke and Lando and Leia and, of course, Chewbacca. And this is a guy who never had anybody care about him in his life. And suddenly he has people who love him enough to go and put their lives on the line to get him out. Now, and he does a 180 from who he was. Learns to trust. Opens himself up to being able to care about people and understand that they care about him as much as he does them. So we're led to believe, because whatever, that he just dumps the wife that put herself on the line for him, that rescued him, that he rescued time and time again, that took care of him. What? Okay, that's my problem. Then we got Luke. Let's talk about Luke. Luke tells Leia he can turn Vader. Luke is the example of compassion and kindness and courage to do the right thing, even for a guy like Vader. And he does it, but he doesn't have the same capacity to help his nephew. This is the problem that people have with this movie, with all of this, with Disney Star Wars. It's not just the feminazism. It's not just the diversity shilling. It's the shitting on what the three characters became, how they changed in the original trilogy. We don't recognize who they are, right? I don't recognize Han Solo when he shows up. All I know is that, they made, Harrison Ford said his lines, and, there's nothing that made me think that was the guy at the end of Return of the Jedi, all right? Because they don't explain what happened. They don't explain what happened between him and Luke. When you watch the Force Awakens, he doesn't look like he's happy when he hears Luke's name. We don't understand why he bolted from Leia. All we know is that he says, every time you see me, you think of him. And I'm looking at Adam Driver and said, no, I don't see you at all in him. I see a space alien crossed with a rhesus monkey. I mean, that's what I see when I see Kylo Ren. I don't see anything of Han Solo or Leia in that freak. And it's just, and it goes on and on and on and on. That's why people hate this movie. We don't understand what happened with Luke. In The Force Awakens, Ben was seduced by Snoke, comes back and destroys the temple, kills all the kids at the academy. Now, in The Last Jedi, suddenly Luke tries to kill Ben instead of talking to him, and that's why Ben turned to the dark side. What the actual fuck? And now they want Ryan Johnson to fix it, and he won't. He won't. There won't be any explanation. So we're all left here going, and they wonder why there's a backlash. They wonder why there's a 50% Rotten Tomatoes score. It's because they didn't write a Star Wars movie, all right? Even if The Force Awakens was bad, you could have actually answered the questions. Um, oh, yes, they did, Vegeta. Yes, they did. They really, really did. You know, they, um, they could have answered the questions that JJ left for them. Okay, so what's he supposed to do? Continue on this mindless bullshit or answer Ray Nobody and give her an identity. Tell us who Snoke is. Explain to us what the falling out was between Luke and Han. Explain to us why did Ben Solo get seduced by the dark side? Or was he just the bad seed? And trust me, all the Raylos out there are freaking out. Uh, you know, in it, and then, I mean, there's so much more to this that I could go on and on and on. Like Ren gaslighting Ray. Now, we all know what gaslighting is. There are plenty of videos on YouTube explaining what it is. And the example of that is him telling her that she's a nobody, she means nothing to, and she doesn't mean anything to anybody but him, that he's the only person that cares, which is a sociopath, narcissist way of gaslighting a girl to believing something that isn't true. Okay? Um, which is why the moment he said that, I'm like, A, you know who she is. B, you're lying to her because you didn't see her parents, or if you do know who her parents are, you're trying to convince her that they're not who they are because you want to control her, which is what a narcissist does, a sociopath does when they gaslight somebody, okay? That's what he was doing. Okay, so why was he doing that? Well, we get an answer. You know, JJ's got a big problem on his hands. Uh, but anyway, just watching Disney's Damage Control is hilarious, and I'm telling everybody right now, go and get the EU novels. I ordered the Thrawn, the Admiral Thrawn trilogy, and I can't wait to get them. They're supposed to be here today, so it's gonna be awesome. Uh, and keep up, or keep up the good work of telling people this is a crappy trilogy, and maybe Disney will learn. If they're not making the money, then maybe they'll give us what we want, because we're the customers, aren't we? And the customers are always right. So anyway, this has been a real good quick talk, guys. Just 13 minutes, sorry. Just 13 minutes. I gotta go do something right now. So I'll end this with the Zero in the Galaxy. And, oh, hey, Saphiro. Yeah, they have to fix it, or it's dead. I just, look, here's the deal. You just retcon The Force Awakens, and you add everything that Ren said, turn it into a lie. That's the only way you could do it. Um, and that's the only way you could do it. But listen, guys, I gotta go. Leave me a comment, and give me some likes, and talk to y'all later. See you around the galaxy. Steph signing out.